Indeed, with the right push, even the world would become a walkover. Although born into a family of peasants, Soichiro Honda, the founder of Honda Company, rose from living a lowly life to establishing one of the most sought-after brands worldwide. The journey started in a small village called Shizuoka, located in the Iwata district, where Soichiro Honda was born. For most of his early days, he would stay at his father, Jihei Honda's workshop to help him with his blacksmith and bicycle repair business. On the other hand, his mother, Mika Honda, was a weaver. With his parents' occupations, the family could barely afford the basics. With the little the family could afford, Soichiro was enrolled in school, but due to a lack of interest in formal education, his grades were not so encouraging. At the time, the schools required that the students take their reports back home for their parents to append their signatures. To get away with his not impressive reports, he learned how to forge his family stamp. Eventually, he was nabbed when he started doing the same for the other school kids. His lack of interest in formal education caused him to leave home at 15 years in search of a job in Tokyo. After several attempts, he landed a job as an apprentice at the Art Shokai Garage in 1922. However, things didn't go as planned for Soichiro, perhaps due to his age and lack of knowledge of automobiles. So rather than allow him to learn about cars, his boss reduced him to the level of cleaner and a babysitter to his kids. Although he wasn't cool with the arrangement, he somehow managed to stay in the workshop for 6 years. Apparently, he didn't stay back at Art Shokai in his free will. He knew he had to endure, since he wouldn't want to go back home to his parents a failure, considering he left home against their wishes. In the long run, business went south at Art Shokai Garage so badly that his boss couldn't afford to pay his major employees. He had to lay them off. After the layoff, he decided to utilize Soichiro since he couldn't afford a professional. Gradually, Soichiro's knowledge of automobiles started faring well. His boss taught him how to repair vehicles. From handling menial jobs, Soichiro put everything he had into learning and eventually attained the position of a full-blown mechanic. In no time, his boss noticed his dedication to the craft. Impressed, he taught Soichiro the fundamentals of mechanical repair and the business aspect of being a mechanic. At the time, cars were not as many as we have now. The few people that had cars at the time were the wealthy, so it was tough to lay hands on so many vehicles. But Soichiro, on his own, studied how cars like Ford worked, and he grew familiar with them. From being a mechanic, Soichiro developed a sprouting interest in the world of car sports, which was beginning to gain popularity in Japan at the time. His boss, Sakikabara, notably delved into building sports cars with the assistance of his workers, Soichiro included. They tuned their first racing car in 1923, and one of the cars then won the Japanese championship in 1924. Subsequently, he left Tokyo for home in Hamamatsu in 1928 at the age of 22 years. Coincidentally, Sakikabara wanted to expand his business to Hamamatsu, Soichiro's home country. Sakikabara needed someone to oversee his new expansion. Who qualifies for that role if not Soichiro? Later, Sakikabara appointed Soichiro to handle his Hamamatsu garage, marking the beginning of Soichiro working as an owner of a mechanic shop, although as an affiliate of Art Shokai. However, considering Soichiro's young age, people were scared to entrust their cars with him. Although he was left to scamper for mostly jobs rejected by other workshops, he never backed down. Soichiro exerted all his efforts to nurture his company from a one-person enterprise to subsequently employing more persons. By the end of the 1930s, he had more hands to assist him in his mechanic workshop. The staff of 30 people could not meet the massively growing demands, and at some point, he had to employ the services of his wife to assist. Even though his mechanic shop was growing at an impressive pace, he didn't ditch his love for motorsports. He went forth to make an incredible mark in the industry. The popularity he gained in the world of motorsports put him in the limelight, thereby growing his mechanic workshop even more. Soichiro went on to build the Hamamatsu race cars, which he would later use in competing in motorsports in Japan. Subsequently, Soichiro set a new record by hitting 120 kilometers per hour, a record that would stay unchallenged until after 20 years. Sadly, the unfortunate happened in 1936 during a car race. Soichiro got into a horrible accident, leaving his hand fractured and his face affected. After spending a couple of months at the hospital, his parents and his wife had expected he would quit racing, but to their utmost shock, he returned to the tracks after 4 months. However, Soichiro reversed his decision to go back to racing cars following confrontation and backlash from his immediate family to focus on his mechanical work. It didn't take long before he got tired of his monotonous repair work, since he couldn't participate in the more exciting motorsport. Soichiro informed the management of Art Shokai about his plan to move into car manufacturing and turn the Hamamatsu branch into a separate company. The directors were scared of losing their already booming business to uncertainty, so they turned down Soichiro's proposal. After his initial proposal fell through, he teamed up with his friend Kato Shichiro, who didn't only lend a helping hand to Soichiro, but also offered financial support. In 1937, the two friends founded Tokai Seki, Eastern Sea Precision Machine Company, a company that primarily focuses on providing piston rings. The two worked tirelessly to ground the foot of Tokai Seki, but they encountered various setbacks. Subsequently, Tokai Seki landed a contract with Toyota to supply piston rings. However, due to the poor quality of their products, it didn't take long before Toyota canceled the contract with Tokai Seki. Meanwhile, he didn't end his partnership with Art Shokai. For that reason, he worked in both places. He worked so hard that the stress began to take a toll on his appearance. To improve on his skills, Soichiro enrolled at an engineering school, but the fact that his dislike for education didn't wane, he could barely stay in school, so he dropped out. However, he didn't relent. He would go all over Japan to gather knowledge at different steel-making companies. Soichiro soon mastered the art, and he started his piston ring business all over again. Gradually, the quality of his product improved, accruing orders from far and near. Well, not for long. The World War soon destabilized the company's balance. Left with no option, Soichiro sold his company to Toyota for 450,000 yen, which is equivalent to $2,300 at the time. With the money from the sale of his company, Soichiro went on to establish the Honda Technical Research Institute in October of 1946, which marked the beginning of the Honda era. He employed a 10-man staff, and they teamed up to make improvised motorized bicycles using 500 two-strokes from the Tohatsu surplus radio generator engines. When they ran the war surplus, Honda moved on to produce their first ever Honda A-Type, nicknamed the Bata Bata engine. Later, in 1949, Honda was liquidated with 1 million yen, equivalent to $5,000. The funding was used for the establishment of the Honda Motor Company. From there, they moved to produce their first ever complete motorcycle with both frame and engine. Likewise, their T360 mini pickup truck debuted and went on sale in 1963. By 1964, Honda had grown to become the world's largest manufacturer of motorcycles. In an attempt to compete in the international world, Honda introduced the Acura brand to the American market, which turned out to be a successful move in the long run. However, the move wouldn't have been successful without the influence of Shoichiro Irimajari, who oversaw the establishment of the Honda of America manufacturing. For the next few decades, Honda worked extensively to expand its product line. However, Honda suffered setbacks following the death of Soichiro Honda in 1991 and the departure of Irimajari. Before the management at Honda realized what was going on, Mitsubishi had taken over the automobile industry. Honda struggled to catch up with the level of advancement Mitsubishi had attained while they lagged. Nobuhiko Kuwamoto, the then CEO, switched into action soon enough, changing Honda's corporate culture, which eventually saw the first generation of the Odyssey and CR-V. In 2006, Honda Aircraft Company set out to manufacture and sell the Honda Jet family of aircraft, which the customers took deliveries in 2015. Most recently, in March of 2022, Honda announced a collaboration with Sony to manufacture electric cars. With Honda's involvement with electric cars, Tesla has a big rival to contend with. That's all for today, guys. You can drop your thoughts in the comment section.